The story of slavery in America is often told in black and white, a stark tragedy etched against the backdrop of the South. But the truth, as with most things, is far more nuanced, far more complex. It's a story woven into the very fabric of this nation, touching every corner, every community, even those we might not expect. We must delve into the annals of history, beyond the familiar narratives, to uncover a lesser-known chapter, the story of Native American tribes and their entanglement with the institution of slavery. This is not a tale of simple victimhood, nor is it one of outright villainy. It is a journey into the heart of a tumultuous era, where survival often came at a moral cost. Over the next hour, we will journey back to a time when the very soul of America was at stake. We will explore the stories of 5 Native American tribes, the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Creek, the Seminole, and the Cherokee, and their complex relationship with African enslavement. Through their stories, we will grapple with the weight of history, the burden of survival, and the enduring legacy of this dark chapter in our nation's past. The Chickasaw people, known for their mastery of the land, found themselves navigating a world increasingly shaped by the burgeoning slave trade. Their ancestral lands became a crossroads for a nation grappling with the expansion of slavery. Skilled hunters and traders, the Chickasaw initially interacted with enslaved Africans through trade with European colonists. They exchanged goods and services, becoming entangled in a system that would soon seep into their society. As the demand for enslaved labor grew, so did the pressure on Native American tribes to participate. The Chickasaw faced a stark choice: adapt to the brutal realities or risk being swept aside by history. And so, they adapted.
The Chickasaw began to adopt the practices of their European counterparts, acquiring enslaved Africans to work their lands. Families were torn apart, individuals stripped of their freedom, and the institution of slavery took root in the Chickasaw Nation. The echoes of this era continue to resonate, reminding us that the legacy of slavery is far-reaching and intricate.
The Choctaw people, known for their strong sense of community and their deep connection to their ancestral lands, found themselves caught in the crosshairs of a nation tearing itself apart. As the winds of secession swept across the South, the Choctaw Nation, with its territory encompassing much of present-day Mississippi, was forced to confront the divisive issue of slavery. Deeply enmeshed in trade and diplomacy with the Confederacy, the Choctaw Nation found itself increasingly aligned with the Southern cause. Many Choctaw leaders had adopted the practices of their European neighbors, including the ownership of enslaved Africans. They saw their economic and political fortunes tied to the Confederacy, and when war erupted, they cast their lot with the South.
The Choctaw people, however, were not a monolith. Divisions over slavery ran deep, splitting families and communities. Some Choctaw men, answering the call to arms, fought for the Confederacy, while others, horrified by the institution of slavery, chose to side with the Union. The Choctaw Code of 1825 officially sanctioned slavery, reflecting the growing influence of Southern culture and the economic realities of the time. Enslaved Africans worked alongside Choctaw citizens, their lives intertwined in a system that benefited a select few at the expense of many. Despite their alliance with the Confederacy, the Choctaw Nation, like many Native American tribes, held a distinct perspective on slavery. They viewed enslaved Africans not as chattel, but as individuals with souls deserving of respect. This nuanced perspective, however, did little to alleviate the suffering endured by those held in bondage.
Chapter 3. The Creek Nation, a powerful confederacy of Muskegean-speaking peoples, occupied a vast territory in the southeastern woodlands. Known for their sophisticated social structures and their prowess as agriculturalists, the Creek, like many other Native American tribes, found themselves inexorably drawn into the web of Southern slavery. As European colonists arrived, bringing with them the insidious institution of chattel slavery, the Creek people faced a pivotal moment in their history.
Trade relationships shifted, power dynamics realigned, and the Creek, seeking to maintain their autonomy in a rapidly changing world, grappled with how to engage with this new system of forced labor. Some Creek leaders, recognizing the potential economic benefits, adopted the practice of slavery, amassing wealth and influence through the exploitation of enslaved Africans.
Plantations, mirroring those of their European counterparts, sprang up across Creek territory, their fields tilled by the forced labor of those denied their basic human rights. The institution of slavery, however, sat uneasily with traditional Creek values of communal living and respect for the individual. Divisions emerged within the Creek nation, with some vehemently opposing the enslavement of Africans, while others embraced it as a necessary evil for economic survival.
This internal conflict, fueled by the external pressures of a nation on the brink of civil war, culminated in the Creek War of 1813 to 1814. This bloody conflict, pitting Creek factions against each other, was fueled in part by tensions over slavery and the encroachment of European settlers on Creek lands.
Chapter 4. The Seminole people, a fiercely independent group with roots in the Creek Confederacy, forged a unique path in the face of Southern slavery. Driven from their ancestral lands, they sought refuge in the wilds of Florida, a land where freedom held a powerful allure.
The Seminole offered sanctuary to those fleeing slavery, welcoming them into their communities and offering protection from slave catchers. This act of defiance forged a powerful bond between the Seminole and the escaped slaves.
These escaped slaves, known as Black Seminoles, integrated into Seminole society, adopting customs and fighting for freedom. They formed their own communities, creating a vibrant, multicultural society that challenged Southern slavery.
The Seminole Wars were fueled by the determination to protect those who sought refuge among them.
The Seminoles' commitment to freedom carved out a unique place in the history of slavery in America. Chapter 5. The Cherokee people, known for their sophisticated governance and their embrace of assimilation, walked a tragic path through the era of American slavery. Their story is one of forced migration, cultural upheaval, and the enduring legacy of a system that left an indelible mark on their nation.
As pressure mounted from European settlers eager for their fertile lands in the Southeast, the Cherokee Nation faced a stark choice: resist and face annihilation, or assimilate and hope for survival. Many Cherokee leaders, believing assimilation offered the best chance for their people, embraced aspects of European culture, including, tragically, the institution of slavery.
The Cherokee Nation, much like the fledgling United States, became increasingly divided over the issue of slavery. Some Cherokee citizens, adopting the practices of their white neighbors, amassed wealth and power through the exploitation of enslaved Africans. Plantations, eerily similar to those found across the South, dotted the Cherokee landscape, a stark reminder of the encroaching influence of a system antithetical to traditional Cherokee values.
This embrace of slavery, however, came at a great cost. It fractured the Cherokee Nation, pitting brother against brother and sowing the seeds of distrust that would have lasting consequences. The forced removal of the Cherokee from their ancestral lands in 1838, a brutal chapter in American history known as the Trail of Tears, was driven in part by the desire of white settlers to seize control of the valuable lands and resources, including enslaved Africans, held by the Cherokee.
The Cherokee, despite their own entanglement with slavery, endured unimaginable suffering during the Trail of Tears. Thousands perished from disease, starvation, and exposure on the forced march westward, a stark reminder of the human cost of a nation consumed by expansion and greed. Chapter 6. The story of Native American tribes and their complex relationship with African enslavement is not a simple one. It is a story woven from threads of survival, adaptation, and in some cases, complicity. It is a story that challenges our preconceived notions, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable truths of our nation's past. As we have journeyed through the stories of the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Creek, the Seminole, and the Cherokee, we have witnessed the devastating impact of slavery on both individuals and nations. We have seen how the institution of slavery, fueled by greed and sustained by power, tore apart families, ignited wars, and left an enduring scar on the American landscape. By shining a light on this often overlooked chapter in our history, we honor the suffering of those enslaved, acknowledge the complexities of the past, and work towards a future where understanding and reconciliation can pave the way for a more just and equitable society. For it is only by confronting the sins of our past that we can hope to build a better future.
Yeah. In the face of doubt, hold your head high. Star in the night, born to light up the sky. Strength ain't what they say or see. It's in the heart where your self-esteem free.